himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so new off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here, but I just want to see how Alistair Hayes deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order, but Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you're James Parfitt, and welcome to the Triple Bypass Blame Canada 32, sponsored by Al Corey, the native Canadian to this league here on the JP Broadcasting Network. We find ourselves just east of Toronto in Ontario, Canada, at a 2.5 mile, 10-turn road course circuit where you're going to watch NASCAR run a road course. I know it's going to be an interesting time. Of course, my name is Bradley Dalton, and I am going to be joined behind the camera, and joining me with occasional feedback here and there is Mr. James Parfitt. James, good morning, sir. I know it's early for you. How do you feel about these Gen 4s going around a wonderful road course such as the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park?
If anybody knows me or have watched previous broadcasts, they know NASCAR do not belong on road circuits. That's it. That's literally the end of it. That's how I feel. They should be on a road track, but I'm not quite sure who picked this one. Whoever did, well, I think we need... They go round in circles. That's about it. They don't do left and rights, ever. But here we are. But we have only got 32 laps on a 1:21-minute second lap, so we should be good. But yeah, no, I'm not a lover of NASCAR and road circuits, buddy.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it was Al Corey himself channeling his inner Canadian in South Park. Of course, he now lives in Dallas, but the hometown is listed as Canada there on the screen, and he is, of course, today's race sponsor. So a big shout out to Al Corey for sponsoring today's race. We thank you for bringing us these 32 laps at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which of course is also the livery of his car. So we'll see how that goes. Looking at the points here in this Gen 4 of Season 4, after 9 of 14 races with 2 drop weeks applied, we've got Kyle Gresh, who is leading at 323 points, tied with Ben Harcum. So that is going to be a battle to watch. Kyle Gresh and Ben Harcum have been trading back and forth fastest laps through a lot of practice as well, and through a chunk of qualifying. So I'm curious to see how they do when qualifying finally hits. Matt Parasini in 3rd place, Dustin Barton in 4th, Al Corey, MP5, a steady 30 points behind there. Ryan Hyatt, Jason Benson, Brad Kress, Chad Baer, and Cameron Kane, your top 10 here in this Gen 4 Season 4 after 9 of 14 races, of course, with 2 drop weeks applied. And if you want to get involved in Triple Bypass Racing, this great group that we commentate on regularly here on the JP Broadcasting Network, be sure to check out their Discord and get involved. Check out their website as well, triplebypassracing.com, because they have a lot of good leagues. They bring you 5 nights of racing throughout the week. They've got late models, they've got Xfinity, multi-class, and the Gen 4s. Plenty of good racing going on here in Triple Bypass that you could check out and highly recommend. There's a spot for everyone. Even James has ran a spot once or twice here, especially in the Gen 4s. If you throw the Gen 4s around Motegi, James discovered how to drive with these guys and got a nice little introduction and goes through. But qualifying is underway here at this wonderful, wonderful road course. I'm actually glad, if we're going to pick a road course, that it's going to be Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I think this is probably going to produce some of the best racing for these cars, for these teams, as we see Ben Harcum out early. But James, this is going to be a track that I think is going to give some really good racing. It's pretty simple as well, just 10 corners.
Yeah, it's not a hard course, but they will have to contend with coming out of turn 2, which is the left-hander at the bottom of your screen. If you can imagine that being some form of animal, and up in the top right corner, there's an animal with a very small head on the side, mind you. But the hump in the middle, that's where they don't want to be on the outside, because otherwise they are going to be off in the grass. It's going to be very hard for them to make sure that they're not on the outside, especially if they're going too wide, but probably lift and allow the inside person to go through here. So I'm hoping that they do manage that one as well. and hoping that they manage to get through all cleanly once again. Mookie, I'm a little bit quiet, so I've just turned myself up. I hope that helps there as well. But yeah, blame Canada 32 laps, no stage breaks, no cautions unless they're local cautions, but that doesn't really happen on a road circuit. So we should see 32 laps back to back.
Yeah, 32 laps of action coming up, and the number 32 I think is a good number as well. It's just enough laps to give some action, because what I'm worried about happening here is the drivers spreading out. Lap times are fairly similar from what I've seen, but there is that disparity with road course, especially when you get these guys that are very, very used to turning left, and you tell them to start incorporating those right-hand turns. Some of these guys, of course, run in the road course, the GT3 GTP league that these guys run as well, but some of them aren't going to be as comfortable, so you're going to see lap time differences, and you may see the field spread out as this race goes. Or you may see everyone stay very bunched up. It genuinely just depends. We're riding on board here with Ben Harkham, who seems like he's handling the car well. I do see the car kind of bouncing around a bit, but overall it seems like Ben Harkham is keeping that car in a straight enough line on the road to look for a good representative time, as Kyle Gresh just came across the line with a 1:21.84. So that is the time everyone needs to aim for here as we come around the final corners, and we'll see where everyone lands. But here's that lap time disparity with Chad Bear a 1:22.66 and Mr. John Campbell at a 1:23.95, Cress 1:23.56, and Ben Harkham comes across 1:23.28. So Kyle Gresh very, very fast here on this road course.
Yes, he is. But Kyle's a bit of an all-rounder, isn't he? He's not just a road man, he's not just an oval man, he's a bit of an all-rounder, does both sides of it here as well. Mookie's put better. Thank you very much, Mookie. Apologies if I am feeling a little bit rough today as well. I don't feel 100%, but we're here, we're battling on, and hopefully we'll be able to see some great racing with these guys on the race circuit. Once again, it's motorsport, got a few tricky corners. It hasn't got many corners, but the ones he has got will quite happily kill you and terminate the car. So you've got to be a little bit more sensible.
Yeah, it's got 10 corners, and it's got some really, really good names. It's got turn 3, which is known as Quebec corner, because Canada. Turn 5, which is actually going to be 5A, 5B, and 5C. I like that they did that. 5A, 5B, and 5C, which is known as Moss corner. Yeah. We've got the Mario Andretti straightaway, which involves turn 6 and 7, which on the track map doesn't really look like it's a turn. And then, of course, you have the S's, which are turn 8 and turn 9, and then White's corner and turn 10.
Yeah, as an Englishman, we go 1 to 10. That's it. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or we go name, right? Or we'll do a mixture of both, just because we feel like we can. So we'll go 1 and 2, and then you might go into, I don't know, Big Bend, and then you might go through Maggots and Beckett's coming into Cops and Stowe, and then you go round turn 4 or something resembling that, right? Why do the Americans go 10A, 10B like they do at Road Atlanta, and you're just sitting there going, can't you just go 1 to 12?
I was going to say it's a Canadian thing, but no, Road Atlanta, I can't say it. But
and Road America.
Yeah.
Turn 1,
I'll give that one to you.
And then down to turn 3, because turn 2 is more of a kink in the road than a taller. But the grid's up for you there, Brad, as well.
Yeah, we could go on a tangent, but let's go through the grid first. Kyle Gresh is up in the lead. Chad Bear in P2. Ryan Hyatt and Brad Kress round out our second row there, but you can see the pace discrepancy that's showing up here. Mr. JC John Campbell in P5. Ben Harkham in 6th. Carson Ketland in P7. Matt Parasini in P8. And again, look at the pace differences that we're seeing through. Jason Benson in 9th, Cameron Kane in 10th, Dustin Barton P11, John the Notch Crutchley in P12, Matt Harmon and Al Corey rounding out 13th and 14th, Brian Cooper in P15, and Tyler Ruyelis in P16. So 16 cars to tackle 32 laps here around this Canadian Tire Motorsports behind the Porsche safety car. I love the Porsche safety car. It's how you know you're on a road course in iRacing, and it just looks good, and I like Porsches. I am a big Porsche fan. Porsche is what I typically drive in GT3s, Porsche Cups. I mean, if I can get behind the wheel of a Porsche in real life, it would be life complete for me.
The Porsche in the GT3 in iRacing is very interesting. As a saying goes, the Porsche will do Porsche things. And that's partly because you can do the same thing for 14 laps, and then on lap 15 it will kill you at the same point of what you've done the same thing throughout the whole race. And I saw it today in the Australian GT3 I did this morning as well. Somebody did the same thing, and then basically on one lap he just wanted to terminate him. So the Porsche is an interesting car. I'm more of the Merc man myself.
Yeah, and you know, the Porsche has a unique problem that not a lot of other cars will have, and it's the way the fuel cells are set. As you burn off fuel, the weight transfers in the car. It's not something we're going to see here with these Gen 4 cars, but that is something if you're GT3 racing. Little pro tip coming from your friends here at JP Broadcasting. Only pick the Porsche if you're willing to relearn your car every 5 laps whenever you burn off a couple laps of fuel, and then you have to relearn how the car is going to handle, and you just continue to do that consistently because the car is a basket case. But it's a full pace lap here in these Gen 4s. James, it's going to be 32 laps of, I think, just big pockets of action through and through. Looking at those qualifying lap times yet again, I think Kyle Gresh is going to have smooth sailing if he gets away well and doesn't make any mistakes.
Yeah, Chad Bear, Brad Cress, Ryan Hyatt are all there. Ben Harcum's in the mix as well. So anybody's game, really, I think, going forward. And it is a road course. That's the thing. I would sit here and say, Gretsch is going to win, but anything can happen on a road course. Literally anything, depending on what area of the track you're on or what part of the track you're on. Anything can happen, and I think these guys are going to experience that.
Yeah, it's going to be the fun for these guys to see how they handle, how it experiences. It's 16 cars. It should be good action all the way through. Again, all those classic liveries that you know here in Triple Bypass, as it's brought to you on the JP Broadcasting Network. These guys really, really love their car liveries, and I personally love them as well. They always look good. They always have good designs. I'm always going to tell you that Mr. 27 there, Kyle Gresh in the Waltrip livery. It's always nice, but I am personally a Jeff Gordon fan, so I like that number 24 of Matt Parasini's livery as well. And these guys are continuing to go through and around here. We're hitting 5A, 5B, 5C. The number 5, actually, I lied to you. We're coming out of White's corner. We're green flag, 32 laps of action coming here on the Triple Bypass League. And as we get away, Kyle Gresh does not retain the lead through turn 1. It is actually going to be Chad Bear who gets away very, very well there on the start. They're 2x2 behind, but as it stands, Chad Bear does pip Kyle Gresh for the lead as we run through Clayton Corner here, down into Quebec Corner, this downhill section, and they come around, and surprisingly, Kyle Gresh didn't keep the lead further back there. That's the number 24, Matt Parasini, who's trying to put a little bit of pressure on Ben Harcum and take Ben Harcum through, but they're staying single file for the most part. But really, the surprising story for me is Chad Bear and Kyle Gresh swapping positions. I don't know what happened to make that occur, but Kyle Gresh just seeming to not get that race start the way he wanted, but there they are. He's going around wide there in the double right-handers. This is the turn 5 section I thought we were at a second ago during the pace lap. But as we go through, this is Matt Parasini we're looking at, and look at Chad Bear. He's already pulled out about a 2-second gap early on, and Kyle Gresh now under pressure from Ryan Hyatt. So I don't know if his car just isn't handling well over the race. The 117 in the wall in the background of Mr. JC John Campbell, and you could see these cars get very light over the hill, and it just sent him right into the wall, and now he is just going to stay out of the way. Good replay here. Over the hill, gets a little loose, and James, there's nothing you can do when the car decides to snap off like that.
No, there's nothing. You're literally just a passenger in general. You've just got to ride it and hope for the best. JC's going to have to go in. He's going to have steering damage. But Ben Harcum here with Ryan Hyatt, Kyle Gretsch. As you say, Chad Bear bolted off down the road. It was right at the beginning. Chad Bear jumped him going over the line from the start. And that unfortunately left Kyle Gretsch chasing his tail a little bit. And he's still kind of trying to chase it now as he's got Ryan Hyatt behind that. Brad Gress tucked up in 5th place. He's got the high rollers, Ben Harcum. in front of him, and they're going on their run down through the hill, turn 4, coming down turn 3, so down into 4, and then coming up into Moss. I'm not doing this whole 4A, 4B. So he's coming down turn 4, and then through turn 5 of Moss, and then onto the Mario Andretti straight before once more. But there's still action all the way through. Matt Harmon, Al Corey, of course, today's sponsor here, so a big shout out to Al for sponsoring today's race. Absolutely amazing. He's battling with Dustin Barton, so action still developing. You're always going to find a driver, I think, around your level, and these guys will find that out, as we've got John the Nodge Crutchley here with Tyler Ruelas and Brian Cooper. So there we go. Oh, let's say that John's got off the side of the circuit.
Yeah, let's look here and see what happened to Mr. Crutchley, was it? And goes around, just a little run through the dirt.
Yeah, Moss Corner providing action as it always will do throughout the whole of this race, I'm sure. But Benson in that 42, and it's got Matt Harmon right behind him.
Yeah, Benson in the 42, Harmon, and I believe behind was Barton as well a little bit. And then Al Corey, of course, not too far behind. These guys are going to stick the single file run. Just a little bit of pressure and a little bit of slide in the car. These Gen 4s on this road course here of the Canadian Tire Motorsport, it's going to want to get loose. They're going to want to slide a little bit. You're going to have a very nice loose setup, and it's going to be just a matter of how loose do you like your car. These cars aren't pointy like you might think of a traditional road car like a GT3 or a GTP LMDH. They are very, very loose. They're going to want to slide. It's not a case. There's not a lot of downforce on these cars for this track action. Of course, when you look there at our weather setup, 77 degrees Fahrenheit, overcast skies, 90-degree road temps, a little bit of sun here and there with a little bit of clouds, so the pavement's going to kind of change here and there, but these cars are going to get very, very slidey and swirly. As we saw with John Campbell, just going over a hill, the car can get loose, and if it gets loose, it just sends you into the wall, and that is just the nature of these cars and how they're built. Oh, the number 28 going around. That is going to be Matt Harmon. And did he get help there, or was it just a case of just a little loose?
Just all on his own, dude. Coming in turn 8, he snapped and then he went round, unfortunately, him, and then pirouettes and some more pirouettes as he went on his audition for the theatre. Carl Gretsch trying to break away from the Harkham Crest situation. I think for these guys, they've got to use each other. They can't, go out swinging at each other. They got to try and use each other to get forward, because at the moment, Chad Bear, well, it's gone. Later, check it out. Adios. Take care. Goodbye.
Yeah, Chad Bear and Kyle Grash are both just kind of adios through Harkham and Crest here. I think this is a game of everyone kind of managing expectations and managing their pace, because they know it's 32 laps. They know they have 3 sets of tires if they need them. It's local yellows only. So this is, I think, just as much a case of these guys just wanting to make it through this race. They don't want to DNF here and have any issues with drop weeks, weird points, anything happening that can contend through, especially if you're Kyle Gresh, the current points leader. You don't want anything to get in your way. But Chad Bear, tell you what, really, really sleeping, because I was not expecting Chad Bear to be as far up as he is. We're checking out the midfield here. Al Corey coming around.
There's a message in the Discord. Hyatt is running a Canadian Tire paint too. So I was looking at Al Corey, and he's got his Canadian Tire paint on there. But if you go to Ryan Hyatt, he has got it on. The only difference is Corey's got lines down the back end over the rear arch, and Hyatt has not. So Hyatt in his Canadian Tire livery there once again, but up front at the moment, Arkham and Crest still going here with each other, as Harmon has just been off the side of the circuit, unfortunately, as well, on lap 5 of 32, but no cautions, so I'm loving this at the moment.
Yeah, again, local yellows only, so no big worries about full course yellows and pace laps and messes with that. We're not playing that game here in Triple Bypass on a road course in these Gen 4s. We're just going to send them around and let them go. But everybody's holding on here. This is the number 96, Brian Cooper, out of the pit lane. Don't tell me he does what I think he does.
I have no idea what he does, but whatever he doesn't do it well, and he's ended up there. So this is where I think the original damage was, coming through turn 2. Into the wall, and that's going to leave his steering, well, bent. he's going to be gone. He'll have to jump back to the pits, and he did do. And then he come out, and I got a funny feeling he's rushed his steering because his steering's probably still not 100%. And then he's had to bin the car off because the steering going on the straight is still relatively straight, but he's pulled it into the pits. So unfortunately for Brian Cooper, it looks like Cooper is out here.
Yeah, Cooper's race day contentions for a win very far gone because he is down at minimum a lap, and we'll see if he gets back out what he does here. We're looking at the number 78 and the number 9. This is Ben Harcum, who is leading Brad Kress. Brad Kress here trying to make a run, trying to do something here, and really just keeping them honest. These guys are very similar in pace, very similar in laps, and they're just keeping each other 1-to-1 here. Of course, Brad Kress knows to pick his battles and knows to pick when he passes, and if Ben Harcum has too many incidents like that where he goes a little bit wide, it's going to be a bad day for him. Another case of Brian Cooper having a bad day, and this is just onto the ice, and it is just Disney on ice here. Let it go, man. Just let it go, Brian.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment. Caitlin's been around a few times as well. Carson Caitlin has been off track 1, 2, 3 times. So not everybody's clearly suited to a road makeup. Crutchley down here with JC and Tyler Ruelas. And then we've got Harcum and Kress still battling out. We've got a little battle developing with Al Corey. He's trying to chase down Jason Benson. Where's Cora today? Cora's not in YouTube chat, chasing, cheering on her man, y'all, as Benson in that 42 machine. But Ryan Hyatt into the pits here again, and I can't see why. It just looks like he's driven in on his own.
Yeah, I don't see anything that indicates to me Ryan Hyatt picking up damage anywhere. Front bumper may be a little off, but I don't see anything too crazy there that gets my attention. Lots of off tracks, though, going through. These guys are struggling to keep it on the track, and the fact that really all we've lost right now is Brian Cooper is very surprising to me, considering the amount of off tracks I'm seeing just flash through on the timing screens, catching my attention. You can see there goes JC John Campbell coming around, and now we check back in with P3 and P4 here, Brad Kress, Ben Harcum, and this position has flipped. Last time we checked, it was Ben Harcum.
Yeah. This is why Harcum run a little bit wide coming out of 2. He had to hold the brakes on, try and get the rotation out of the car, and Kress said, thank you very much, I'm going to have some of that. But Harcum is coming back at him, so for Ben Harcum, not quite giving up just yet as he's still fighting it out here.
Yeah, and you can see Brad Kress out of the final corner there, that back end of the car snapping. Remember, these cars are very, very loose. They're stock cars. They're meant to be slammed on 20-degree banking, making left turns. Road courses are an interesting handling situation for them. And as we go through, again, just watch. The car is going to slide a little bit. It's going to catch a little bit. And it's all about how much can you drive out of this car. This is truly the point where I think it's not so much about the car, but it is about the driver's comfort level and being able to just comfortably run this race. We're 25 laps left, and these guys, just 7 laps in, they're just continuing to go. And I have a feeling Kress and Harcum is going to be the big back and forth to watch through this race, along with that battle of Barton and Benson and Corey and Catlin there in that battle for P7.
Mate, you could not have hit the nail anymore on the head. 20-degree banking. Stick them on a right turn road circuit with nothing, it makes it a different story altogether. It's literally a different kettle of fish in this car, and this is why I'm not a lover of NASCARs on road circuits. I think it's like having Marmite and peanut butter in the same sandwich. They just don't go together, and these cars just don't go together. So if they'd brought in rain, then I might have been a little bit more happier because I thought that might have been fun. But no, you can't have rain there as we've lost Ryan Hyatt again. He's been off the side. Whoa. That car was crabbing before he even got there.
I tell you what, though, there's, for the amount of off tracks I'm seeing, the only crash that I've seen has been Brian Cooper. I mean, they're saving these cars really well. If they lose them, I mean, it's like they've been practicing on a drift simulator because, I mean, Ryan Hyatt doing very well to get that car around, hold on to it, and then get it back straight. So, I mean, kudos to him, even though that's not what you want to see. But, I mean, he's going to do it. He needs to keep it out of the lawn. He's doing what he needs to do there.
Yeah, Harmon fighting out with Campbell. We know Campbell's had his own moment. He went over a hill and put the thing into the wall on the Andretti straight. So, Harmon with a slide there manages to hold on to it as we're here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Blame Canada 32, sponsored by Al Corey. And I didn't have a clue what that meant until he sent me the YouTube clip, and I was like,
Yeah, it's a very, very specific reference that I'm sure is personal a little bit to Al Corey, considering he's the sponsor of the race. Probably has to be one of his favorite things. So if you're not familiar with what we're referencing, just go look up Blame Canada on YouTube, and I'm sure YouTube clips will do the rest for you. It is a reference from South Park, though.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too. It's very tongue-in-cheek. You know what I mean? We grew up in the 80s with kids' programs that were tongue-in-cheek, and we didn't have a clue what they meant anymore. But then when you watch them back, you sit back and think, how did we get away with that? And then you sit back and you think, that's because we're not like the individuals or youth of today. You know, we're made of a bit more sterner stuff. So things that, you know, people take offense to, we didn't take offense back then. And that's the thing with stuff like South Park, and some of the comedians that we've got over in the UK were bland and blatant as you could be, and now you just won't see that, unfortunately. But Jason Benson in the mid-pack with Al Corey in front and Carson Caitlin behind him.
Yeah, you're looking at Corey, Benson, Caitlin here. And again, these drivers are just trying to put down consistent times. The 45 goes wide there. Al Corey not nailing turn 5 here. Moss Corner not getting it very well, but somehow still stays ahead. I just think that Benson lifted a little bit, maybe just didn't want to get involved, didn't want to cause an incident or anything crazy. But Jason Benson had a moment there where he could have got a pass done, but didn't. And you see behind, look at that. Carson Catlin getting very, very loose there in the Grippo's barbecue livery, slides around a little bit, at least for me, and then gets it back going straight. So these cars being a handful to drive.
Yeah, and he did it the same place as JC on the hill. He went over the hill.
He does it again.
Yeah, he's in the wall. But yeah, he went over the hill coming up the Mario Andretti and then nearly lost the back end. So it was always going to be tough there. He managed to hold on to it, but boy, oh boy, that could have been worse. Benson with Corey, and we've got Cress with Harkham. So this is the battle for third and fourth.
I tell you what, Cress and Harkham are running hard. I see tire lockups. I mean, they're putting a lot of work here to keep with each other. But the thing that they're doing, and this is where road course knowledge is a little bit different than you get when you're running a now. Oh, big snap there from Harkham as he gets it back on the track, but he's going to lose a lot of pace there, maybe.
Yep.
The hill is so dangerous for these guys. Look at that. Just the back end gets loose. There's nothing you can do about it once the back end comes around.
That's just on a hill or a straight. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Think about that. You're driving down the road just in your car, going straight. It's a nice cloudy afternoon. You're driving straight. You come over a hill. When you come up, the back end of the car becomes the front of the car, and you're just kind of looking behind you going, I'm going the other way. That's hard to imagine.
Yeah, you just sit there and think, how did I end up here? I was just driving down the road. You know, the kids are in the back thinking it's amazing because you've done a lovely pirouette, but you're just sitting there and you're just thinking, I'm not quite sure how I got here. But then again, it's no different to ice driving or anything like that, is it? Where, you know, crazy people driving on ice do, like lorry drivers, ice truckers, or whatever the program is called.
Yeah, there's a lot. What is it, Alaska Ice Truckers here in the U.S.?
Yeah,
which is,
I think that's what we've got as well on Netflix. It's something crazy anyway. So, but yeah, I think you've just got to be mindful of that. The fact that the hill is there now. Harkham's fully aware it's there and gave it a big old bunch of room. So Ben Harkham, as they're coming into 8 through 9 and 10, is, well, probably lifting a little bit more going over the hill than he was in the first 5 laps.
Yeah, and I don't blame him a bit. And you can see that they're catching up to Mr. Naj Crutchley here. Naj Crutchley a lap down. Our first car a lap down, and you can see just getting out of the way there and staying out of the way of the lead cars going through. Doesn't want to cause anything crazy and is just going to relax, let them through. And this is a tip that I will give everyone who's starting to learn how to run road courses in iRacing, because I know a lot of people start with like the MX-5 Cup or the Miatas and different cars. When you're learning a car and you're in a public session, if you realize you are not on the pace to the rest of the session, follow someone who's faster and just try to match their moves. Try to see what they're doing different to how you're driving and let that influence your driving. I've picked up several seconds before just getting on sessions, realizing I am not up in the mix of pace, and just saying, okay, I'm going to pick the guy that's faster than me in this practice session. I'm going to stick behind him and see how long I can follow him and start picking up time. And you will find time that way. And that could be something that Mr. Crutchley is doing here. But judging by how far back he's dropping to these two, if he is doing that, he needs to get a little bit closer here.
Yeah, there's loads of ways you can get better. That's the thing. You know, if you're going onto a new track and you think, both of
they
them
both did it.
following each other. Arkham and Crest, they're synchronized off tracks all at the same time. So it's done a job from them. But yeah, you've got to be more careful as they come around the final corner now. Brad Crest is going to be behind Harkham. Is this going to allow Harkham to run away with it? Well, we're going to find out over this lap, of course, as we go across the line with 19 to go now. But you've got to think of practice as a race practice. You've got to practice efficiently. If you don't practice efficiently, what's the point of practicing in the first place?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people lose out on in iRacing when they're starting their careers, is how to properly practice. You know, that's something I remember in school, teachers would sit there and talk and be like, this is how you properly study. This is how you properly, write a report. This is how you properly do all of these things in education. And then, I didn't apply a lot of that until I started sim racing. And I was like, this is the proper way I need to learn this track. It's start slow, get faster, get comfortable, learn your lines, learn what you're doing wrong. Don't worry so much about setup. Just pick a nice, comfortable setup that you know how the car responds and go. There's very, very good ways to learn how to run any track. And the thing that you can really tell here in this pace difference is what drivers have really, really learned this track and practiced a lot and are really comfortable taking these Gen 4s on a road course, and which ones, maybe it's just not their day. Maybe this just isn't their track. All of these drivers, for a number of reasons, may not enjoy the Canadian Tire Motorsports. And again, blame Canada. Number 96 goes around, comes back into the 117. That is painful.
Brian
Cooper is having a very, very bad day.
Brian, what is going on? And both Mr. Cooper and JC in the pits.
Yeah, JC, John Campbell was in a good position there. Brian Cooper was down a handful of laps. I think he just lost it on his own.
Yeah, he did. I think JC's out now.
Man, that is painful. I hate seeing that, but that is the nature of racing. Sometimes it happens. Now, this track is an FIA Grade 2, which means that it is wide enough that the FIA has said we can run different things here. Now, of course, IMSA runs here every year and has for a very, very long time. NASCAR Canada Series runs here. The Trans Am Series runs here. Formula One has raced here in the past. It's been quite a while. But I think the big thing to note is that NASCAR Canada runs here, which I think is interesting to see. So it's not unreal to see stock cars on this track. And I'm curious just how the NASCAR Canada Series performs here compared to what we're seeing with these Gen 4s.
Hold on. So Canada has its own NASCAR series?
Yes. There's a series called NCS, which is known as the NASCAR Canada Series.
He did hit him. Tyler Ruelas got Brad Crest. So Ruelas went off circuit first, into the wall. Then Crest come round. Unfortunately, I think he can't stop. And Crest runs wide as well. To be fair, I don't know if Ruelas would have been there. where Crest would have been, to be honest. I think Crest may have been in the same place.
Now I gotta wonder, was that a bit of Crest looked up and got like target fixation and was like, oh, there's a car here, and was just looking at it and wasn't paying attention to the track? Because if you come around a corner like that,
I can't answer it, to be honest.
I'd be curious to ask him later exactly how that occurred, because there is a thing with road courses. If you're not looking, you're meant to look ahead and look at the apexes and where you're running. And sometimes if you come over the hill and just catch a car, and a car sitting where you're not expecting, you can kind of fixate on that point, and then you'll run yourself wide, not realizing. And by the time you do, you'll panic out, and then something like that can happen. But Crest's race is over. He's into the pits now. So his chase on Ben Harkham is done, and now you've got a huge opening forming here. Of course, Carson Catlin is still chasing down Mr. Naj. Crutchley goes around the outside on the main straight and is going to send it into turn 1 and will be up into P11 with Crutchley in P12. I believe that is Harmon in P13 right behind, but it is the big mix-up. Parasini's into the pits as well. And at this point, it's really a case of that big battle for P3 is kind of left itself. Al Corey, our race sponsor, is a couple seconds off of Crest. As Crest comes out of the pits, Al Corey should be able to get a good run here and try to make a chase. Something's happened with Tyler Ellis here again. Onto the grass, a little bit on entry. Car comes around and is just going to slide through. And is that a Swan Lake audition?
Mate, they're all doing it, aren't they? The one that keeps the car on the circuit is the one that's going to be win here. So, Two Dogs. I love this. I hear he has politician. Is that political asylum with the race being in Canada and all? I think it's referred to JC possibly.
Yeah, I hope he does, because it's rough otherwise. We've lost Campbell and Cooper, and so we're running 14 cars at the moment with 15 laps to go. Rieles is down 2 laps. Harmon's there, down a lap. Crutchley, Catlin, Hyatt are all down a lap. Ben Harkham's into the pits here. But I think the big story right now is Chad Bear with a 33-second lead over Kyle Gresh, way out of there and not looking back at all. Chad Bear has just disappeared. I don't even think we've talked about him in a while. And this is the 160. This is Tyler Ellis again. I was going to say I think he was just going wide to get out of the way of traffic, but it almost looks like he understeered there. I think he might have steering damage.
Yeah, I think he does as well for Ruelas. I think he's got to look back. Chad Bear's into the pits, mind you. Gretsch has already gone in. I think Bear should stop and get out well before that. Oh, saying that, he is only going down the pit lane, so he's going to have to get his bike on because Gretsch is coming through. They have stopped him now. Gretsch is on his way around turn 8 before he gets around into 9 here, Brad.
Yeah, it's going to be close here with Bear and Gresh. I'm not sure where this will land Bear. I think Bear may have a bit of pace. I'm going to imagine that these guys are just opting for fresher tires as lap times drop. Here we go. This is Chad Bear out. This is Kyle Gresh coming around. Maybe this is the big strategy of just conserving tires and going through. Look at this. They're going to be close. Out of the pits comes Chad Bear, just ahead of Kyle Gresh by less than a second as we come around. And then, of course, Dustin Barton is now 15 seconds behind, give or take, from this battle that is shaping up for the lead. Brad Kress here, we check in with, who is down in P7, holding on to the back end of Al Corey. And of course, I believe that is Jason Benson just behind him as well. So 3-way battle here shaping up for P6. But Al Corey, Mr. Canada, you should be very happy with where you're at. Jason Benson is now into the pits.
Benson's just come in. We are on board. We can see Matt Perezzini in 8th place in that Jeff Gordon DuPont livery, but back up front we've got Bear and Gretsch. It's whether or not, I don't know if Bear did take tires or if he didn't, to be fair. So I have to see him and play this one out, I think, because they're all roughly around about the 41-second mark.
Yeah, it's very, very close through, but Kyle Gresh, again, favorite in qualifying. But Chad Bear got that really, really good race start that I think got him ahead. And now it's just a matter of if Chad Bear can keep it. But with the advantage of good tires, I think he should be able to. Kyle Gresh had pit on lap 17, so 1 lap before Chad Bear. So this is a very, very even match as far as I can tell. We'll see how this shapes up. And then coming out of the pits there, that is going to be the number 42 of Benson. But he is, of course, a lap down. So he is the first car lap down, but he is not going to be a battle for these two. It is just going to be the case of Kyle Gresh and Chad Bear, who can come out ahead. We're 13 laps to go here in the Blame Canada 32 here with Triple Bypass Racing on the JP Broadcasting Network. And of course, if you're liking what you see, you enjoy seeing Gen 4s on a road course, or you don't, and you just like seeing some cars go around tracks, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell. All things you can do for free that help support JP Broadcasting and let us bring you these great races. Of course, many events happened today. I believe there was a total of five streams today. Five streams today here on the JP Broadcasting Network, and we've got tons of racing through the week as you desire. So if there's something you like, I'm sure we have a stream for it. And if not, be sure to let James know, and I'm sure he can find you a stream for it to bring to the JP Broadcasting Network. Here we go. Naj Crutchley locking it up there, getting out of the way, and that does, of course, let Mr. 28 of Matt Harmon through. So Matt Harmon now up into a position. The number 9 runs wide, and we're seeing good battles develop here. That's Cress who ran wide. Of course, not in a battle for position here as it stands. Al Corey is ahead there, the number 28, and then the number 9. So you've got Corey, and then the 28 is Ben Harmon, who's a lap down, and then, of course, Brad Cress there is that third car as he tries to chase down Al Corey for P6.
Yeah, trying to get past. I think the thing is they're starting to get a little bit more spread out there. Oh, Two Dogs meant Killer Corey, not JC. Sorry, Two Dogs. Bit under the weather tonight. But yeah, they're all getting a little bit more spread out with 12 to go. But I don't think this is the first time. I can't think if it was these or the BSC on Tuesdays that one of them did a road course and literally every car was spread out like a trooper. And sitting there kind of talking a bit about not a lot. So yeah, they're starting to get into that remit as they start spreading it out here. You can see the people that are a lap down on the left hand side. Benton and Caitlin, Harmon, Crutchley, Ruelas, Campbell, Cooper are out. So yeah, it's been a bit of a disaster for some, and great work if you've survived Mosport for others.
Yeah, I knew going into this race it was going to be a combination of two things. Who got really good in qualifying and who had the time to practice and run these long runs to make sure they could be consistent in this car. And the 28 snaps hard. Matt Harmon, what happened to you, my friend? Is that just a case of the rear end goes out before you can do anything about it?
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? I'm going to have to go on a little bit of the rewind button, which I don't like doing, but bear with me as we're coming along here. Yeah, I think he just gets on the power, just gets loose, still accelerating, and randomly does that.
Thankfully, he didn't bounce back out on track, but man, that was not what you want if you're him. And then an off track coming up. Who is this? The number
Ryan
3,
Hyatt.
I believe, of Ryan Hyatt.
Couldn't stop it.
Oh, that's more than an off track.
Yeah, couldn't stop it. Ended up straight back, jumping back in pits of Ryan Hyatt as well. So yeah, a couple of these people not loving this circuit with 10 to go. Who knows if you would love it in these cars? No, I bet there's not going to. I don't think there's going to be a road course ever again after this.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Triple Bypass admin are going to catch some flack for road course in a Gen 4 as if me and James haven't given it enough flack. But I have a feeling even the drivers are going to have a conversation. Now, this comes to the question, because I am an older school NASCAR fan. I remember the days of Sonoma and running out in California. I miss those days. I really enjoyed that track. Why can we not go back out there? Of course, that track does not exist anymore. It was a great track, though. But Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is showing some good racing. I think there's a couple things that's really just hurting it. One of them being just the nature of this car itself. We've talked about it ad nauseum at this point about how loose this car gets, how wild things get, and even just coming over a hill, the back end can bust out on you and create a very bad day. And if you're someone like Brad Kress and you are just pushing a little bit too hard trying to chase down Al Corey, that can ruin your entire race and your entire day if you just have a little bit too much of the back end slide around and you can't catch it.
Yeah, it's been like that for most of these drivers. You just saw with Harmon, he was accelerating off a slight kink in the road, and he ended up going round. So, who knows where it's going to come from as we go into the final 10 here, Brad. But if you've survived and you finished, you're liable to score points. So, great job there.
Yep, 10 to go. Kyle Gresh, less than a second off of Chad Bear, our race leader, and is just doing what he can here. He's just trying to hold on and go through. And again, we watch with Kress and Corey as they sit and relax, and they are just trying to tick down these laps. It's 9 to go. Our race leader just crossed the start line. That's how big the gap is and how spread out the field is. If you look in that top right corner at that track map, you can see here we're looking at P6, Kress with Corey and P7 just behind, and you look around the track map just a bit, and you see P1 and P2 there. So again, this track very, very spread out, very much going through, and they are just ticking down laps. It is a game of survival, as James said. It's very much, can we make it to the end here? And if we do, we've got points on the table. So let's just survive. Of course, Cooper, Campbell, and Hyatt, the three that have not been able to do that. Matt Harmon into the pits again, has been in the pits for a little bit according to my timing. I'm not sure if that is correct. And then Rieles is holding on. Naj Crutchley is down a couple of laps, and everybody else is again just trying to survive. But this big battle right here is between Kress and Corey. It's starting to spread out, and then of course Chad Bear and Kyle Gresh, the P1 and P2, who flip-flop positions at the first corner, and Chad Bear has not looked back. Kyle Gresh is now a second and a half off with 8 to go. Can he get the position back is the question.
No. I don't think he can.
Nope.
No, I think the problem is now Chad Bear looks too comfortable out there in front. He's got no real pressure on him for 8 to go. He knows he's got the pace over Kyle Gretsch. I think he has got the pace. And I don't think he's really got to worry too much, to be honest. But Matt Harmon, Tyler Rurales, I'm not going to show any more of Rurales. He's literally, I don't want to pound this poor man's misery any more here. Two Dogs, you're good, fellas. Great broadcast as usual. Thank you very much for that. Sorry, I'm a little bit cold in my house, and now my wife's had it. And oh, well, obviously, if your wife's had it, generally you've had it.
That is the nature. That's the unfortunate part. A little tap in the grass there from Chad Bear. Chad Bear's trying to find every inch of this track. He is running away from the cold that James has and making sure that he doesn't virtually spread it to him. So Chad Bear putting all the pace he can in this Gen 4 car with 8 to go. But he also knows that Kyle Gresh is going to be behind him and hungry for a pass. But Kyle Gresh continuing to lose time, especially as they head through the second half of the track. Coming down the S's, White's corner, the Andretti straightaway. That is where Kyle Gresh has seemed to lose time, but Kyle Gresh seems very, very strong through Clayton, Quebec, and Moss corners. So it's very, very give and take as we watch this race. But again, I think if Gresh had kept it from the beginning, Kyle Gresh had kept it up front, I think he would have held on to it. He had very good pace in qualifying. I think turn one, lap one, though, wrote disaster for him. And we see the 160 going off Tyler Rieles. Again, I feel bad for him, but again, he's just staying out of the leader's way. Probably just does not want to get involved and be, if anything came up, he doesn't want to be in the mix of it. So, some drivers will fully get out of the way. Some drivers will say, hey, blue flags, go around. We're not going to have the blue flag conversation, James. You and me have had that ad nauseum.
I'm not saying anything. I'm staying well away. My mission for the rest of this week, I'm not even sure if it started or finished. It's Sunday. Depends where you are in the world, is not to have a blue flag discussion.
Yeah, we will keep that away. It looks like something's happened with Carson Catlin. According to my timing screens, it looks like something's happened there, dropping around. Let's see if we can see the Grippos not having enough grip, having too much grip, and gripping the curb, coming around, and not enough grip, and just straight into the wall.
Yep. Unfortunately for him. Job's good. Job's done. So,
It's unfortunate too there for Carson, because Carson was running a fairly consistent race and a good battle around. We're checking again with our race leader Chad Bear, 6 to go, getting around the 037 of Cameron Kane. Cameron Kane is now a lap down as well, and slowly Chad Bear is going to start reeling in Matt Parasini to lap them as well. Kyle Gresh now needs to negotiate the 037 of Cameron Kane. Does so without any issues there through turn 1, turn 2. And now as we go around, a little bit wide goes Chad Bear, but again, Kyle Gresh not close enough to capitalize, but within a second now. So this is where things are going to start to get hairy with 6 to go.
yeah, they are. Al Corey is here with Cameron Kane. Seen Cameron Kane on a racetrack somewhere before. Young man. Cameron Kane now. Nice little coming together at Twindering.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but, you know, everyone needs their introduction.
On the pace lap as well. Terrible deal. But, I can't remember where I was going now. I was moaning about Cameron Kane. I can't remember what part of this I was getting into. Never mind. 6 to go, 5 to go. Great racing up front, and the second coming down there between them.
Yeah, these are good battles that are starting to develop. These little pockets, even though it's very spread out on the track, seeing this pocket of racing here and there. Again, Al Corey and Cameron Kane in the background battling each other very well. And then Bear and Gresh right here, just a second separating them. It's came down to about 0.7 of a second at the most, but then it starts to open up a little bit. It just depends on who's where. This is Matt Parasini doing a Parasini pirouette, potentially. And there it is. He snaps one way, doesn't catch it, snaps the other way as soon as the grip gets back in the tires.
Yeah, he did. I was trying to have a quick chat with Brian Cooper, but Brian's replied to me and said, I've already tucked my tail in shame and shut down everything, he said, after he's had a nightmare evening and then ended up crashing into JC after having one of his own incidents as well. So, unfortunately, no chatting to Brian. He got to bed and closed everything down and ran off with his tail between.
Well, and you know, if you're a racer, sometimes that's okay to do. If it hits a moment and you have just a absolutely abysmal race, and not only just something happens with you, but someone else gets involved and it just ruins your race and someone else's. Sometimes it is best to just walk away. You don't want to be involved in that conversation for a little bit. You just don't. You don't want to know what's going to be said there. So I kind of don't blame him, if I'm honest. I don't blame him for kind of just calling it for the night, taking it easy, especially, of course, daylight savings time messing everybody up. We lost an hour of sleep last night here in the U.S. I know the UK does that here in a couple weeks, and then everything will get back in sync. But it is, it's one of those days that if this isn't your race, I don't blame you for calling it.
Let's be real about it. JC's not going to... I don't think JC's probably got bad blood in his body, and I don't think he's going to come away and scream at Coops anyway. I think, to be fair, it is what it is. JC's Australian. He's laid back. It was one of them things. Cooper was out of control. You can't stop an out-of-control car that you've just put into a wall, especially when you're bouncing back into the middle of the track. There was just nothing you could do, So I don't think he's... I just think over-dramatise the situation, and poor old Brian Cooper has got to touch himself over. He had a special overlay and everything tonight. He was running a full SDK overlay because he didn't like road racing, and it all went a little bit Pete-Tong, didn't it?
Yeah, it's so... there's a curse with special liveries that if you are a Formula One fan, I know you've heard of, but overall in racing, it's kind of a superstition that if you run a special livery, it's not going to be your weekend. And sometimes racers like to lean into superstition. And so I can't say I blame them there. If you look, Cooper running the SDK setup and everything. And then, of course, Hyatt in the number 3 running that special number 3 livery here for the Canadian racetrack. And now Hyatt's out too. So yeah, sometimes as a race car driver, it's best to know to just stick to the classics and go through. James, we are 3 to go, though. This race has moved fairly quick. We're almost through. And, of course, it is Kyle Gresh. The story of the night started on pole, lost it on the first corner. hasn't been able to get it back at all. He is chasing down Chad Bear by about a second.
Yeah, he is, but I don't know if he's going to have enough. I think Chad's just too quick. He really is. He's one of these that has either gone out and practiced and done a special, an amazing job. I suppose practice makes perfect, but whether or not Kyle's going to be getting there is a different story as well. So, yeah, not entirely sure what Chad Bear has got that everybody else has got. Time could be, practicing could be, who knows? But whatever he's got, he's done it well as we're going into the last two.
Yeah, 2 to go here, and at this point, Chad Bear needs to keep the car on the road, keep it pointed the right direction, and keep the rear tires on the pavement as much as possible, and avoid any sort of weird bumps, any sort of weird things. But he's done it very well for 30 laps, so what's 2 more laps for him here? I think he should be able to keep it consistent as long as the tires will give him what he needs. Kyle Gresh, if he's saved anything in the tank, right now is the time he needs to send it through and get going. You can see the number 24 of Matt Parasini coming into the mix there just ahead. So 1 more car potentially lapped, which would mean only 5 cars will finish on the lead lap. Everybody else at least 1 lap down here. And looking at other battles that may be happening, really, this is it. Yeah. This is the only battle on the track. The next closest gap between P1 and P2 that I see is Al Corey and Cameron Kane, but that is a 3-second gap that is quickly opening up. And so I'm going to go ahead and tell you, other than this battle for P1, there's not a lot going on with 2 to go here. And this has been a race of endurance and survival. And for Bear and Gresh, they've managed it the best all the way through. White flag in the air, 1 to go here, James.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be all done and dusted after this one, and Chad Bear doing an absolutely stellar job. Led from start to finish. Green to checker. Job done.
Yeah, it's just another 2 miles or so that he needs to make it through, or 3 kilometers, give or take, depending on what measuring system you like to use in your part of the world as we run around here. Chad Bear leading Kyle Gresh by over a second now, 1.3 seconds. Will he catch Matt Parasini and lap Matt Parasini before the end? Well, if you're Matt Parasini, you may let him so that way you don't have to run around an extra lap. It just depends on, the state of the driver and where he's at. Matt Parasini, though, maybe not wanting to go a lap down and run it through. We'll see what happens. Kyle Gresh, I think that is the nail in the coffin as he goes a bit wide there coming out of 5, and that is, I believe, going to be as much as he can do as we run for the final time here down the Mario Andretti straightaway. We hit the cursed hill where we've seen several drivers lose the rear end. We hit the right-hander here of 8. Going into the S's of 9 and 10. And at this point, Chad Bear, I think you can bear down a little bit and relax. You're done bearing down. It's been a good race for him. 32 laps here. He took the lead. Lap 1, turn 1, didn't look back. He comes across, and he is going to be the winner of the Blame Canada 32 here in the Triple Bypass Racing League. And Kyle Gresh valiantly fought, started on pole position, but the best he could bring home is P2 after he lost it, and he couldn't get the lead back. Ben Harkham, big old gap between those two to Ben Harkham. Ben Harkham has a while till he crosses the line, but he should bring it home in 3rd with no dramas and no issues as long as he makes it across the line. But Chad Bear, Kyle Gresh all the way through, and now it's the long wait. This is like the equivalent to watching Formula One and waiting on Max Verstappen to cross the line and then waiting on somebody else to get their way through, because this is a 51-second gap that they need to make up. Ben Harkham coming through. I'm running out of things to say, James, but that is the pace difference between Bear and Gresh versus Harkham and other drivers.
I'm surprised Parasini didn't stop. I am shocked by that. I thought he might have just said, you know what, I've had enough. Crack on. I'm going home. Well, he probably is at home. I'm going to the kitchen. But yeah, he has come through. He has completed it. Managed to hold on to not being a lap down. So great job for him there as well. So that brings the end. A very short race tonight as well.
Yeah, this is a quicker one for Triple Bypass, so that is one of the plus side of the road courses, especially if you're running local only yellows, is, you get 32 laps of green flag racing, only about 45 minutes of racing through, 50 minutes give or take, but hey, it's still good racing, and it's still triple bypass here on the JP Broadcasting Network, so you can't beat it. And as Matt Parasini comes across the line, it is officially all of our cars have taken the checkered flag. Now let's hope they don't pull an F1 Academy and take the checkered flag twice here. Chad Bear, please do not do that and get a 20-second penalty for no apparent reason. But there we go. Chad Bear doing the burnouts there on, I believe that is the front stretch, burning it down here at a road course. That's something you don't see every day.
No, definitely not. And Chad Bear doing a stellar job there as well. So, better play. He did look strong, didn't he? So, let's be real. So, fair play to Chad Bear. Great win overall there as well. Let's bring you up the race results.
Race results coming through. Chad Bear took it away from lap 1, turn 1, didn't look back, and wins here in the Blame Canada 32 that was sponsored by Alcory. Kyle Gresh qualified on pole, couldn't hold on to it, and from the first corner, it was a matter of chasing, and he ends up in second place by 1.9 seconds. He had that gap down to a half a second at one point, but couldn't do it. Ben Harkham in third place, and you can see the gap between first, second, and third there, 51 seconds, the difference there, and then Brad Kress, Dustin Barton, round out your top 5. Matt Parasini in 6th place. Again, Dustin Barton and Matt Parasini, local Canadians. So a home race for them coming through. Cameron Kane in P7. Al Corey, race sponsor, finishes it up in 8th place, down a lap. Jason Benson is in 9th. Carson Caitlin in P10. John the Naj Crutchley in that number 48 finds 11th place. Tyler Rulli Ellis in P12, a name that we said a lot tonight. Matt Harmon in P13, the last of your finishers. Ryan Hyatt, John Campbell, and Brian Cooper in P14, 15, and 16, not finishing the race, down a handful of laps, and that due to unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, it's been a rough one for some, hasn't it? Let's be real. But, you know, that's the steep learning curve of doing a road circuit in a primarily oval race car. You know what I mean? You don't just go and rock it and get out on track with it. You've got to practice, and well, clearly some people had issues.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Sometimes it is just a case of do what you can, hope you make it, and then just hold on where you can. But I tell you what, James, I think we need to just ask the guys what they did to have such a pace difference. So who can we bring up here to interview?
Anybody you like, dear. Grab whoever you would so like to have a chat with.
Let's see. I see that Chad Bear is not in right now. Let's see if we can grab him, though, and see if he'll unmute once we pull him up here into the booth. So, Chad Bear, are you present, my friend?
A beer no.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as a big no. So I'll tell you what, how about we grab Mr. Kyle Sexy Waltrip Gresh there in P2, and Kyle Gresh can come up and tell us what he did to make things go. And started on pole, but lost it on turn 1, lap 1. Wasn't able to catch it back up. Kyle, P2 nonetheless, with a big gap to the rest of the field. Tell me how you're feeling after 32 laps here.
Man, everything considered, running with Chad. Every time I do these road courses with Chad, he kicks my butt. So being 1.8 seconds behind him is better than normal. So I'll take that. Of course, I can sit here and be a little frustrated with myself over like a couple corners. You know, no big mistakes, just, you know, small things of a wheel hop there and a getting too eager on the throttle there. But yeah, Chad's so fun to race on these. He's, you know, always pushing me to kind of go harder and do better. And I thought tonight I could have potentially one-upped him for the first time, but he's shown why he's so good at these road courses and the stock cars.
What happened in that race start, Kyle? Because you qualified on pole, and then by the time turn 1 was done, you were down in P2. Is it just something that Chad Bear does? Was there something you just weren't expecting? What was it that dropped you down in that second place? And then what was it that kept you from catching up to him?
I was just kind of relaxed on the start, and I was like, okay, we're just going to go into turn 1, and we're going to just do whatever, and try to make it out the other end. And in my my laxness, I decided not to kind of take an opportunity to try out what gear to be in, and I chose to be in second gear, which is usually what we start in. I should have been in first. So if I had started in first, I probably could have got a better launch, but I just had it in second because I felt I could still have a good launch, but not worry about potentially spinning my tires and spinning in front of the field.
Yeah, and kind of just watching this race, the pace difference that you and Chad Bear had against drivers, P3, Ben Harcum, you finished 50 seconds ahead of him. So what is it that you did to have such a pace difference? Is it just comfort with the car, or what is it that brought out that pace?
I think there's a mixture of just, like of course you run these, and if you're used to running with them, it kind of is easy to kind of come out here and try these cars and get the pace out of them. But I mean, I think part of kind of what helps with these is mindset too, just with kind of not coming into it and being very negative about like, oh man, these things are hard to drive, and just saying a bunch of stuff that kind of kicks yourself before you even go out there and do something. I just always, with basically everything on iRacing, just try to be kind of happy that I'm doing something fun rather than kind of take it as a chore.
Awesome. And last thing for you here, Mr. Sexy Waltrip, anyone you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank, I will give the floor to you for just a moment before we let you go.
Yeah, check out my YouTube channel, Sexy Waltrip on YouTube. We are doing the entire NIS season, the entire IndyCar iRacing season. We're doing most of the races here in this league, and then we're trying to do some next gen stuff on top of NIS. So we're just doing a lot of racing. I stream a lot. I try to keep the posted page busy with just my dumb races that I decide to do. It's nice to have that little output and kind of have these races where I can sit here and I can look back at this cool battle that I had with Chad. And of course, shout out to specifically the Canadians in triple bypass. Like Dustin, former Canadian Al. The other ones who I'm missing right now, like Sean and whatnot. Just shout out to them to our first trip across the border.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Nashville Speedway.
We should be running Indy cars.
That would be fun. So, Kyle says that it's just an open mind and a little bit of run through. Let's see what our race winner, Chad Bear, has to say about it. Chad, do you have us now, my friend?
Hey, yeah, I do have you now, man. I thought I missed you. Sorry about that.
Nah, you're good. We got you here. So, Chad, the win, you took it turn one, lap one, and didn't look back, and with a dominating lead. Other than that couple seconds on Kyle Gresham, I mean, you were 50 seconds clear of P3. Kind of talk to me about your race, how you got it in the lead, and what you did to stay ahead.
Yeah, just trying to be smooth as possible, man. That road course racing, it's all about keeping the rear tires on it. Just tried to, and keeping it on the track, obviously. So, worked out good for me. Kyle was right on me the whole race, though. I mean, he did not make it easy on me, for sure. That was very intense, very fun. I hope it come through good on the broadcast.
Yeah, there were moments we're actually watching back right now where the car got a little bit loose on you. Now, is it something that you like to have the car slide a little bit, or is it just the nature of these Gen 4 cars that they can be a handful on a road course?
It's really the nature of them, but I don't know. Driving a stock car on a road course, like if you can get it slowed down enough for the middle of the corner and get it rotated, it's going to be loose anyway. Like if you're, in my opinion, if you're tight, plowing tight on a road course, you're probably overcharging the corners and just killing your tires. So really, that's not necessarily is it the preferred way to drive it loose, but it's the best for the tires. That's what I found anyway. So that's how I try to approach it.
Awesome. And Chad, with all that knowledge that you have over these road courses, how do you carry that over into oval racing? Does the same sort of tire conservation, watching your tires, carry into oval racing, or is it just a complete mind flip that you have to do from week to week when you're going between road and oval?
Well, in the oval stuff, you have to take care of the right front. You have to kind of balance that out. But it's kind of the same thing to be good on an oval. To make the tires last, you just have to slow it down a little extra for the middle of the corner. It's the same thing. Like if someone is really, really tight and pushing, they're probably overcharging the corners. So I always try to back it down, get slowed down for the entry in the middle, and that helps rotate it out of it, which keeps the right rear and the right front on it much better than overdriving it, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And Chad, last thing I'm going to give you, the floor is yours for just a moment. Anyone you want to thank, anyone you want to shout out here, as you are the race winner.
Man, just appreciate you all putting on the broadcast, Al sponsoring it, and appreciate them putting another road course on the schedule, man. I love driving any of the stock car stuff on the road courses. It's by far my favorite thing to do on the whole iRacing service. But just shout out to any of my co-worker buddies from the railroad that tuned in, and my parents, I'm sure they tuned in, and and shout out to Kyle, man. That was so fun. That's the most fun I've had on a road course, racing him right there. That was very, very cool. Appreciate you all doing the broadcast. I can't wait to go watch it back. I know you all do a great job with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad. Congrats on the race win. You sound like someone that's very, very good at road courses. So I look forward to seeing the next time I see you put a stock car on a road course, because you're probably one of the only people I've heard say that before.
Yeah, I go out of my way, man. When they're on the schedule, I try to schedule my work around making them. Like, I go out of my way for them. So, but yeah, appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. Last but not least, we're going to do a very, very quick chat with Ben Harcum here. Ben Harcum, third place finisher, but big gap ahead. Ben, kind of talk me through how your race went.
No.
Ben, are you there, buddy?
No.
And Ben is not there. So I'll tell you what, James, after what's been a good road course, been a quick race, and going through, I think that can be where we call it for the evening. Any final thoughts from you, my friend?
Please don't put them on.
Chad Bear says he loves it, so he is going to argue that point all day. But, of course, if you want to see where things are coming up here with the Triple Bypass Racing League, just get involved with them. There's a Discord link on your screen in the description. And then, of course, check out their website as well to see where the future endeavors go. I am looking ahead here. The Gen 4 specifically, go to Nashville. I see some Kern County on there, which should be good here in a couple weeks. And they've just got a few weeks left in the season, and then they'll be planning out another one. And, of course, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do everything that you can here to support us here at JP Broadcasting Network, because we try our best to bring you as much awesome sim racing as possible. And again, 5 broadcasts this Sunday, 6 broadcasts last Sunday. There's a lot of good racing coming up. We've got Triple Bypass on Thursday night, plenty of broadcasts through the week and on the weekends to keep you entertained. But that is going to be where we call things for this wonderful Sunday night / Monday morning for James. So on behalf of James, my name is Bradley, and be sure to tune into JP Broadcasting Network, and we will see you on the next broadcast we bring you.